SoFloRadio.com, and SoFloTelevision.com. Since the dawn of civilization, the elusive quest in pursuit of the perfect drink continues to evolve. Now more than ever, we reap the rewards of this passion. The perfect vintage, the finest brew, or a spirit of optimum age and class. And now, SoFloRadio.com invites you to discover the wonderful world of booze by the glass.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to By the Glass. I'm your host, Brett Hubbard, welcoming you to explore another wonderful whirlwind of fine beverage. We are joined by my guest host, Jason.
Hey, how's it going?
I got I've Been Bad on the board.
Yes, I am.
Intern Dio in the studio.
Hello.
And we are super, super excited to have the master, Mr. Robert Burr, in the studio tonight. Welcome.
You said Robert?
Robert Burr.
All right, hands up, everybody.
Hands up, everybody.
Hey, it's nice
welcome.
to be here with you.
Yeah, I
guys.
know. It's absolutely a pleasure to have you. We've been trying to get you in here for quite some time, and we know you're super, super busy, especially now more than ever with
Yeah,
the
I'm
rum
out of jail
renaissance.
too, so it's good.
That works perfectly.
Got this thing on my leg, so if it beeps, don't.
Yeah, we won't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And you brought Joe Gerbino with you, your PR guy. Hey,
That's
everybody say
right.
hi to Joe. Joe, what's up, Joe?
Joe is very good looking, if you can't tell.
He is. He's great. He's got a face made for radio. I love it. Well, this week on By the Glass Show, we're super excited to have Robert Burr from the Miami Rum Festival in studio. Now, the Rum Renaissance is the brand, but the Rum Festival is the event, correct?
Yeah, Rum Renaissance is our overarching brand to tell people that rum is not old. Rum is not new. Rum is old.
Right.
But rum is new again, and so just like the Renaissance, lost great information was rediscovered after the Dark Ages.
Yes.
And people have the misperception that rum might be ordinary. And rum is not ordinary. Rum is fascinating. And so that's our message. And then the Rum Festival is our biggest event that we do. And last year we had over 12,000 people in Miami for the festival.
It's absolutely amazing.
fantastic.
This year, it's the 6th annual Miami Rum Festival, and it occurs April 25th to 27th, 2014 at the Doubletree by Hilton Miami Airport Convention Center. Now, you moved it to that new spot because it's just expanding tremendously.
Yeah, and
correct?
you said that without taking a breath, and that's pretty good.
Like you
He
talking
was
about
practicing all day when he showed up.
Yeah, we started at the Shore Club, and that was good. 1,000 people really rocked the Shore Club, pretty cool. And then 2,000 people at the Raleigh Hotel.
I
And
love
was
that one.
great.
That's when I went.
And I loved it a lot. That private beach is so cool.
Pool
And-
party the day before.
And it was 94 degrees in the shade.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, wow, if I could find a room that's on the beach, on the pool, but it was air conditioned, that would be cool. And I did the Deauville for the third year in 2010.
Oh, maybe
was
that's the
great.
one I went to. It was on North Beach, right there on Collins.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's the one
Yeah,
I
up
went to.
north
That's
out of
with the
South
pool.
Beach a bit, yeah.
It was the pool right outside.
Wasn't that a nice view?
That was amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we had about 7,000 square feet of rum and 4,000 people. That was good. Then we moved into their big room, the Napoleon Ballroom for the next year, and had about 8,000 people. I think we would have had 10,000, but 2,000 people couldn't park. I mean, parking on the beach. Whoa, man.
Yeah. So it's out by the airport, so
Yeah,
it's
the
a lot
airport
more
can
parking.
handle us. Yeah.
People can just shuttle right out there on the.
Yeah, there's 1,700 parking places. It's
Yeah.
$5 to park, and it's at the intersection of two big expressways, so pretty easy to get to.
Fantastic. You mind giving us a little bio on yourself, talking about how you got all started in the rum world? I know you say rum is exciting and it's amazing, and we agree. We've done so many rum shows here on By the Glass Show, and we find it to be one of our favorite spirits, and it's just exciting, and we can't tell you how happy we are to have you here.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Yeah, rum has a lot of range, and when I started, just about before I came of age, when I was younger, you could drink when you were 18. Remember that was there, and then
Those
it went
were the
back
good old
again.
days.
I was there.
Yeah. So
He's been drinking
What
ever
a
since.
stupid law.
So of course we did wait till we were 18, but.
Right.
But I was looking for the right rum. I mean, I love my Bacardi rum. I love my Myers, the white and the dark.
That was my first rum, Bacardi.
Yeah, and I
most
was
people,
looking
yeah.
for something that was a great gold rum, and I happened upon, just by accident, Barbancourt rum from Haiti, and I had a hallelujah moment, and I thought, wow, that is rum tasting rum, and it's made by like cognac, and so it just has a different character. And then along the way, back in the mid '80s, now 30 years ago, just about, I started publishing a magazine about scuba diving, and lo and behold, I discovered something: every island makes the best rum in the world.
Yeah, I mean,
Coincidence?
So you've been, and we're going to talk all about your travels,
Yeah.
and the panels you sit on as a rum XP. I like that term for rum expert. It's really cool. And just some of the places you've been, but just off the cuff, what I know it's hard to choose, like picking a kid, but which one's the best island that you think for the rum experience?
Well, I would say, and here goes most of my friends, because you can only make one person happy, but you have to give
true.
it to Barbados.
They say that's the original.
Barbados is pure, genuine rum country. I mean, Jamaica, Cuba, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. Everybody's got some kind of a claim to making rum, and as we sit here now, there are families, there are companies, there are groups who've been making rum for hundreds of years.
The Appletons.
The Appletons are just exquisite, and to have that much experience and to refine your product for that long is really sort of out of range of most things that Coca-Cola's been around a long time, but it hasn't been several hundred years.
Yeah.
And some wines have been out there for this long, and some early products that came from Scotland have some generational age to them. But rum as a category is so vastly varied. Every island makes it differently, and they all make it the way they like it. And so it's just like food varies greatly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Are there
you travel
basic
all over.
ingredients for rum?
Yeah, rum is made from sugar cane. So if you're in the tropics and if sugar cane will grow in your neighborhood, you squeeze that juice, you let it ferment, you distill it, and you got yourself some rum.
The fermentation process of rum has always been interesting to me because I went to the old New Orleans rum factory,
Yeah.
and he just used the most powerful ale yeast he could find, and he had a big molasses vat, and he basically fermented that. But can't you have the natural yeast on the cane?
Yes, you can.
Just ferment it on its own.
Yeah, yeast is everywhere. And
Right.
if you leave something out, it will start rotting or fermenting or evolving. I mean,
Like George.
imagine
All these things, man.
well,
Totally evolved and
the
fermented.
history of wine was you left the grape juice out and it started bubbling a little bit, and somebody had the guts to taste it. And,
That would have
Got a
been
little
me.
tipsy.
I would have been that guy.
and you know the way it works, that guy was happier than the other people, and they said, "What is your secret?" And he said, "Well, leave the
I
grape
also
juice out."
discovered milking cows for milk in my previous life. I was that guy that looked at a cow and said, "I think we can squeeze something out of there."
You
for us."
used your mouth.
That's right.
Well, it's one thing to just suck on the teat yourself, another thing to share it with other people. So
They
that's
saw me
part of
having a
the
good time.
evolution.
Everybody copied me.
That
I
was
the first guy.
groundbreaking.
So yeah, it's an evolutionary thing. And speaking of yeast, here's the cool thing: there's two natural things that happen in the world of rum, and one of them is yeast. Here we've been blessed with this tiny, single-celled organism that does nothing but turn sugar into alcohol, and along the way farts a little CO2, and that's okay, know. But
I do that.
but how lovely is that? That nature has given us, a one-celled organism.
Proof
that-
there's a God and he wants us to drink.
that's-
True alchemy.
Absolutely, I agree.
That has
I mean,
to
they
be
say you
proof.
could turn turning straw into gold, but
Yeah.
literally you're turning grain or fruit into alcohol, which then can be sold for gold.
Right.
It's
There you go.
And people don't realize also, that if you're growing wheat, you make beer, you distill it into whiskey because it lasts. I mean, at the end of the season, a few hundred years ago, without refrigeration, what did you do with your fruit? You fermented it, so it would last. What did you do with milk products? There's no refrigeration. You made cheese.
Sure.
You did things. You took those cucumbers and you cut them up and you pickled them, and they wouldn't
You
go bad.
didn't want to throw them away, yeah.
So this is all about things not going bad.
That's amazing, and I never really wondered
thought
how
that was-
people got through the winter. I mean,
true.
because
Yeah.
the food only lasts so long before it rots.
That's
So
right.
That's
And
amazing.
So, yeah, that's what you did. You winter's coming. That meant start pickling, start
Yeah,
making.
you didn't pickle just cucumbers. You pickled everything.
Well, people had
Right.
cellars for pickling and fermenting and making all.
And
kinds
this is
of
where
products.
jam comes from. What do you do with the raspberries?
Right.
You put them. You boil it. You put it in a sterilized jar. You put the lid on tight, and that stuff may not go bad on you. I mean, you might just be enjoying those raspberries all the way through the spring, you know. So this is all part of the same big plan. So the yeast does this amazing thing. The other amazing thing that nature does is, you know, when the British first took over Jamaica in 1655, before that time, they traveled around on their ships with beer. And beer, when you're running around Bristol or Portsmouth or Falmouth, you know, somewhere in England, the beer stays pretty good because it's
cool, right?
47 degrees out, average temperature. But when you're around the tropics and it's peaking 90, that beer goes bad pretty fast. And so you had a lot of mutinies, you had a lot of problems, you had a lot of dissatisfaction in the Navy until they said, let's load the ship up with that rum from Jamaica. Let's see how the sailors like that. And then, you know, they're sailing around in the heat.
Yeah, we have mutiny here too if we don't get drinks. Yeah.
I was just looking at 6:11. I thought Jason's
All
gonna.
right.
Gone this long before without getting drunk? No.
Jason's
I mean,
gonna
very
start.
rarely.
I was gonna start the timer to see how long Jason said.
I was waiting.
Well,
So it kept
but
them
there,
from
it comes down to the wood.
Right.
Here we had
Yeah.
wooden barrels, you know, not stainless steel, and they put the rum in the wooden barrel, and a couple of sailors later on were like, hey, is it just me, or does this stuff taste better the longer you leave it in the barrel? So there you have, between nature giving us yeast and that natural interaction that we stumbled upon with spirits and wood,
Wouldn't you know it?
and all spirits come out of the still clear.
Yes.
You know, so when we look at spirits and we see this beautiful brown color, much of that is coming from the wood.
Absolutely.
Right on.
It's beautiful, and it enhances.
You're,
I love the fact that it gives, you know, the vanilla
Making
and,
me rum
and
hungry.
in wine it gives the tannins. And
Yeah.
it's just it's great how different beverages enhance in different ways from the woods. So that brings us to maybe our first beverage here, the Salvare, right?
Selvaray, the
Selvaray.
Jungle King.
The Jungle King. Now, George didn't know that that's what that meant in Spanish.
Right. I did not know that.
Well, George has never lived in the selva, I guess.
Right.
I'm a city boy.
Very
But,
cool.
Well,
So
let me tell you the unique story of this rum.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there's one of the great master blenders and distillers of all time who made his reputation in Cuba in the 70s and the 80s and up into the early 90s. He moved and retired to Panama in the early 90s, and he found a beautiful copper column still down there that hadn't been used in a while, and he cranked it up. And Don Pancho Francisco Fernandez has been making rum in Panama for over 20
Delicious.
years. He told me he's been trying for over 20 years to make a great chocolate infusion, and he hasn't been happy with what he's come up with until last year. We're about to taste
Wow.
some rum that he made.
Some of us
that-
already are.
I
That's
can
amazing.
Smell it from here.
I mean,
Is it not amazing?
it's chocolate,
It's-
but then finishes raw. I mean, I don't even know.
Smooth. It's
Yeah.
warm.
You want
It's really
some?
warm on the chest, and it's not. I thought it was going to be either too
Like
sweet,
too chocolatey or too sweet.
It's not.
Well, the first thing is what it is.
This is
it isn't some syrupy chocolate liqueur.
Not
Right,
syrupy
no.
at all.
Right. It happens to have a
it's
really
master
good base
blended.
of rum. You can
Yeah.
sip this stuff.
It's beautiful aroma.
And, but the nose in the whole room, all right? Right now, folks, the
could-
whole
Sure.
room
Smells like a
smells
chocolate
like-
factory.
And here's the key, and I think you'll agree. It smells like a memory you had when you were a child.
Yeah,
There is something so delicious about this nose.
You're absolutely right.
Now-
Now, let me ask you a question about he took him so long to get it right. Is that because of the oils in the cocoa, you think?
I think it's
or-
technique. I think,
Oh, really?
you know, first of all, what do? Put chocolate and rum in a blender and then hope for the best? No, I mean,
It didn't work for me. That's
And then, you know, you can take clove and you can take allspice and you could take, ginger. You can infuse things into rum, mostly by macerating them and leave them sitting in the rum. Maybe toss it around a little bit. How do you do that with chocolate?
Now, okay, we get a lot of flavored vodkas, but this has more
Yeah.
structure, right? I mean,
This
it's
is
got the
just-
chocolate and the rum.
It's just wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful rum that happens to
have
have a
just a
chocolatey
touch of
you
chocolate,
Can,
you know,
you
yeah.
can play this like a sipper. And I did. Last time I was in Panama, we were just driving around because it takes about 8 years to get from downtown to the distillery. You know? And so we're driving in a van, and we have all these different rums we could sip. And I just kept coming back to this one, saying, "Oh, I'll have another sip of that."
It's
That
like a
is
really
just
good
so
liqueur.
delicious.
This is
Yeah.
just a really nice, clean.
But it isn't
and It's
sweet.
not syrupy and it's not sweet.
There's that flavor you can't really put your finger on. That's just really perfect.
Yeah.
Now, is that aged in a barrel? Or
Yeah, well, first of all, the rum is aged 4 to 5 years.
oh,
And then there's the infusion process.
okay.
And then there's the final blending, and this is the real key. And this is where Don Pancho, I think, sets the standard, because This is not sweet. It's not too bitter. It's
Perfect.
balanced on the edge of a knife, if you will. The rum itself is balanced perfectly. The infusion is balanced perfectly. And now, this is a rum that I think is going to surprise people because someone who's an experienced rum drinker is going to find it delicious. Someone who's never tried rum and swears they don't like rum, don't you agree, would find this
Oh, yeah.
to be
You could give this to someone, not tell them it's rum, and they'd never know. They'd
Yeah,
never
we
be able
shoot
to
those
guess
people
that.
down all the time because you can't say like you don't like beer because there's so many flavors of beer. There's so many different rums out there.
Yeah.
So
So this
Great
is
would this taste in your morning coffee or a milkshake?
Oh, wow.
Oh,
well,
wow.
now you get going. What about cooking a little bit with
Morning.
this? Or
Do I have to wait till morning? Let's go
pouring
get
it
some
on ice
coffee.
cream? You're right.
You know what's interesting about it too is once the
Smoothie.
chocolate flavoring falls away, I get barrel notes off of
Yeah,
it.
you
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Because it's really rum. I mean,
Yeah.
Again, a lot of people will go with the cheapest distillate they can find and add flavor.
You mean
And
like
you buy the flavor from
sugar
a flavor
beets?
factory. You know,
we have
Jason was
we have a
talking-
question.
Yeah, we have a question.
Do they make rum out of sugar beets, the cheap stuff?
you
Like
can't call it rum.
You-
In
okay.
the U.S., you can't call it rum if it's made from sugar beets.
Whoa.
It has to
But
be
there's one
made
from
from
Michigan.
sugar cane.
so we found like a handmade rum from Michigan that
Yeah.
is made with sugar beets, but
Well, there's also
technically-
some made from sorghum.
Really?
You know, in the Carolinas.
so anything with
Is
sugar,
that a
but
tree bark?
Hey, you
or
know what?
something?
It'll get you
Sourdough.
drunk, man.
But
People
it's
make
just-
hooch out of whatever they got. But the definition by the federal government
of rum
is that rum
sugar
must be
cane.
made from a sugar cane or its derivative.
Which would be molasses, right?
Molasses is a derivative.
But
right?
that's
Most
not to
rum is
say
made
that
from-
that shady generic stuff you pick up at the liquor store isn't made with sugar beets, or no?
No, sugar beets are not popular in the U.S.
Okay,
The
no
sugar
problem.
beets took over in Europe because Europe was paying so much for sugar.
Yeah.
Because it came from the Caribbean.
Right.
That somebody figured out how to extract sugar from a sugar beet,
Yeah.
and it changed. They stopped buying sugar from the
Well,
Caribbean.
it's an urban legend that's been put to sleep.
All right,
Yeah.
All right,
we'll
Jason.
That
dismiss
ain't
it.
rum.
Anyway, so fantastic. The fermentation aspect that we want to talk about, and what the two main differences between cane, free run, cane juice,
Yeah.
and molasses.
Yeah.
Now, the cane juice can be turned into molasses, cooked.
Well, here's what happens.
And what,
when
what
you-
is
when-
the what is the benefit of that?
Well, let's go through the process.
Yeah.
You squeeze the cane, you get the juice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first thing is most people don't make rum from the juice because sugar traditionally has been so valuable. All right, so first thing you do is you spin that juice. You treat it, you heat it, you cool it, you get the crystals to form of the sugar, and you take the crystals out. What you're left with when you finally get as many crystals as you can out of that juice is a black sludge, molasses.
Okay.
Wow.
And molasses,
Yeah.
like honey, I don't know if you realize that honey will never go bad on you.
Right.
Honey is stable in the environment. Most things spoil. Most foods will spoil.
Bacteria
They
doesn't eat
oxidize.
at it.
Bacteria can't get it. Whatever that is. Molasses is very similar.
I learned this.
Molasses.
This is when I watched The Godfather when I was young, and Hyman Roth was saying, "Your father and I used to drive trucks full of molasses." And I was like, "What? What are the bootleggers, gangsters driving molasses for?" And somebody had to explain to me it's because so that they could go and make rum out of it. And that's
It's very
the bootlegging,
stable.
and it's very stable. And I'm like, "Oh, it's nasty tasting."
Yeah, and when people who owned a plantation in the Caribbean anywhere, Haiti was the richest island in the world, for example. If you owned a sugar plantation, you were a millionaire because the crystals were worth so much.
Sure.
And the molasses was left over, and it was like industrial waste. So they fed it to the pigs, they fed it to the slaves, they put it in the cow feed. It's got a lot of nutrition in it. So there's value there, but they were dumping it in the ocean. I mean, a big plantation making a lot of sugar, they were dumping this stuff in. They had ponds full of molasses. And a horse would go in there and never come out. I mean, it was like,
That's where the term Sweetwater comes from, huh?
We
But
pronounce
somebody-
it sweet water.
and it is stable. It is stable. It won't really ferment, generally speaking. But if you water it down, it will. And so somebody figured out pretty quickly, let's add water 2 to 1, to the molasses, and it ferments. And so you have all this material and nothing to do with it. You ferment it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was tons. Now, American
can we get high with it?
colonists-
It's my answer for everything.
So American colonists, remember, water's dangerous. You can't drink water. It's 1750. Water's dangerous. You take a bath once a year because you catch a cold, you're dead. But anything with liquor in it, beer, wine, it's safe. It's stable. And so you could get almost free molasses from Caribbean, from the ships coming up. They did their little tour. They went over to Europe. They came down to Africa. They brought slaves to the Caribbean. What was left over to bring to the U.S.? Molasses. ships full of molasses, and slaves would come up to the U.S. Everybody, I mean, George Washington, everybody made rum.
Wow.
Because you had almost free molasses, you put some water in it, you let the yeast come. It was later that they started hybridizing yeast. But it used to be you just left it sitting around, it bubbles up, it looks really nasty.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like lambic.
And then you ferment it and it all comes clean. So you know, we were all this country was raised on cheap feedstock molasses to make hooch. And that's when people said, well, let me go back a step. When King George in England said, well, we're going to have to put a little tax on this molasses, that's when loyal American colonists said, don't mess with my hooch, King Boy.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah, the
you
whole
know,
taxation thing. That's what
the whole thing with tea in the river, in the bay, you know, in Boston was symbolic. Nobody really cared about tea. I mean, but don't mess with the molasses, because every man,
That's how we
woman,
were
and
making
child.
rum, yeah.
Back then, the average consumption was 13 gallons a year, man, woman, and child, of rum in the United
And
States.
it was
North
important
America.
for the ships, the grog. They would mix water and rum for the sailors to
Had
keep
to
the
have
water from going bad, and the reward for you
Right.
swab the poop deck or you don't get your grog.
That's right. Poop or no grog. Yeah.
Right.
Geez, I wonder why they call it the poop deck. Ew.
I don't ask
Gotta
those
poop
kinds
somewhere.
of questions.
So now we have our base for the wonderful product,
Yeah.
and now we need to distill.
how do you infuse it? I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
Well, no, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we've gone fermentation. Let's talk about distillation.
Distillation, yeah.
Now when you make a beer out of whiskey, when you make wine out of grapes,
Yeah.
when you make and you could make wine out of any fruit, as they do down in the Redlands, peach nebbly.
Peach Nebbly.
Amazing
But everybody
stuff.
knows you make wine out of grapes. Okay, so and if again, if you make a beer out of wheat or rye or barley or something, it's a very similar process. You let it ferment to that natural level. It's going to go 4, 5, 6, 8% alcohol, and you can drink that, or you can put it in a still. And you can slowly heat it up until the alcohol comes off first. And then you let that recondense into a liquid again. And now you've got you've concentrated the alcohol out of that brew. And you've left over, you know, what you don't need. You throw that out. And you've concentrated, you've taken something out by using heat. Now, you can do the same thing with very cold in the Scandinavian countries. If you leave your beer out, the water freezes into a big clump of ice, and you toss that out, and you have a higher percentage of alcohol left, and that aquavit stuff. Oh my God!
Like an ice box beer or an ice vine.
Right, and you're just using physics to separate alcohol from other compounds here, because alcohol has certain qualities. It will evaporate before water will. So let's use heat. Let's use a steam, system. And hey, I was down in Grenada. They were lighting a wood fire under their still. This is unusual, but this is the way it would have been done in the 1700s.
And they're just tempering it until they get it to where they see it rising, but it's not boiling, so they know it's the alcohol and not the water.
Exactly. The idea is the alcohol boils first.
Yeah.
And you want to be, less than 212 degrees.
Okay.
But then there's also so many compounds in there. Water is a lot of it, alcohol is a lot of it, but there's a million other things a chemist could tell you what all's in there, and they all have their specific gravities and their evaporation points. But generally speaking, it's pretty simple. You boil it not quite to the level where water will evaporate, and alcohol evaporates.
Yeah, if they can do it out there in West Virginia, in a pit, it's amazing to me that these people
Those
distill.
people can't spell. They can't cipher,
They
but
can
they can
distill.
distill.
They can make hooch.
And
Right.
if you want to go back a step, it was the Persians who originally invented distillation or discovered it for making perfumes. In other words, they would take flowers, they would take different things around them, and by distilling the essences of them, they weren't making booze. They were distilling the essences of
Concentrating the
flowers.
smells,
Yeah, and keeping that little bit of liquid that came off of that distillation would be extremely powerful aromatic.
It's also the basis of modern day gasoline, right?
Everything-
Petroleum distillate.
Yeah, it's done in a column still. You take raw petroleum,
Mm-hmm.
and guess what? It's made of different things. And when you heat it up to a certain degree, one of them comes
Different-
off. And
right.
a little bit more,
Different
the next one
evaporation
comes off.
points.
They
You
make
condense it.
They make all kinds of different
That's why
stuff
those
out of
things
that.
blow up.
And what's left in the bottom when nothing else goes is the molasses of petroleum. It's
sludge.
sludge that goes in a cruise in a
Crude
a,
sludge.
a freighter
Scrape it up and make grappa out of it, right?
and soft drinks. No,
Yeah. Wow, it's just totally fascinating, and this is why Rob is one of the
He is an
XPs,
XP,
International
yeah.
Rum Expert Panel.
Is it time to ask him about infusion yet?
Oh, go ahead, George.
All right. How do they infuse? How do they get the chocolate? I mean, I know chocolate flavor comes from cocoa.
That's a secret.
Is it a secret? Is it?
Well, I can tell you this.
Alchemy, witchcraft.
I tried to get Don Pancho to tell me a little bit about how he did it, and he wasn't giving up anything. But here's a guy who spent his entire life learning how to make different kinds of rum, and it took him this long to figure it out to where he was happy with it.
Okay.
I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something miraculous to get that, because cocoa, as we know it, cacao is processed, and it's a hard block of stuff that we know. You
and
mix
it's
it with
bitter,
sugar and milk, and you get milk chocolate. But I'm just wondering if he's working with, and he's in Panama, and they do make some fabulous quality cocoa, and down the street Venezuela makes some of the best, and so he's got some access to cacao, and in what form I don't know, but my guess is it's in a powdered form. And he's doing something with it to cross those molecules together and then filter it out and retain just the right notes that he wants.
I wouldn't be
clear.
surprised if he's using the beans, maybe almost
It
like coffee.
could well be. It could well be. It could be that they bake the beans just
Sure.
right.
It's not
And then-
bitter at all, though.
It's not. It's
got-
so warm.
Yeah,
And it's not sweet. Now, on the
no.
nose, your brain automatically thinks it's going to be sweet because we're used to this. But it's not sweet.
No,
Not
it's
at all.
perfectly
amazing.
balanced.
perfectly balanced. Yeah.
It really is. Let me talk to a little bit about the actual festival itself. So
Sure.
it says you can rub elbows with dignitaries and sit in on some great seminars. Talk to me about that.
Well, it's a little bit of a misnomer because people in the rum business aren't really dignified. No, just kidding. But we do attract the who's who of the rum world.
Yeah.
The finest rum experts from every country are there, and the master distillers from the Caribbean countries and Central and South America, and to be able to walk up to some of these people like Don Pancho,
Yeah.
and to say, oh my God, I love your rum. And, let me shake your hand. To me, that's just such an amazing moment. And you know what? I'm just like another guy at the rum festival. I mean, if you see me at the festival, I sort of just walk around like in a daze. No, not a daze, but walking around like, hey, this is kind of interesting. Have you been here before? What do you
I
think?
think I
What's
ran
your
into you
favorite
down
rum?
there when I was down there.
Yeah, I'm
You
not
were
running
kinda
around
like that,
telling
too.
people what to do.
No, you were enjoying
You're there
yourself.
enjoying yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, just because if I didn't do this, I would just hope somebody else did. I do this the way that I would want to go to an event that was like this.
Yeah. They say it's one of the top rum festivals in the world. Many people say. And
Well, it is in terms of the people who gather there, in terms of the number of people who come in, consumers, in terms of the number of rums that are there for you to sample. I mean, really, what could be better? Where do you can't go to a bar and say, "Excuse me, let me try all the rums." I mean, okay, give me $300.
It didn't work. I tried it.
Yeah.
But they said no.
But you could certainly, your $50 or $75 ticket, at the rum festival is certainly worth $300 or $400 in terms of sampling these rums.
So it's
and
kind of like the
learning
beer fest.
stories.
You just go around with your cup and.
Kind of,
Well-
yeah. They're set up in booths, and people talk about it. Everybody's very nice. I mean, everybody's so personable too. I mean, the Rana Abuelo,
Nice people, right?
the lady with dark curly hair that
Yeah.
runs that, she was lovely. I mean, they're just so sweet. I mean, everybody just wants to bring you in and just
I can
talk
imagine
to
you just
you
getting
about
sloshed,
rum.
though. I mean, you just got to take it
Well,
easy, right?
you got it.
You-
it's
it's
like
not a
anything
beer
else.
festival. One thing
Yeah.
you have to realize is that we're serving quarter-ounce samples.
Oh, okay.
Which is
More
a
than
little less
enough,
than we
though.
just drank here. But
Yeah.
but that's because you didn't take you more than about 2 sips of this to know you love it.
Oh yeah, no. You,
know?
just want to taste
or,
it, yeah.
Or you didn't like it.
You're not going to
So-
make it through too many rums if you're
right.
drinking a
So one
glass
bottle
each.
of rum can serve
George might.
about 100
Maybe.
quarter-ounce samples.
Yeah.
And so it's a chance to hey, you're not going to love them all. There's going to be some of your favorites and some not so much.
That's what makes the world go around.
But that's what makes the world go around. You know what's fun that you see at the show? You'll see somebody grabbing their friends and going, "You have got to come over here and try that one
Yeah.
right now."
Speaking
so people
of
get
quarter-ounce
excited.
Samples,
Yeah.
we might want to try the next rum.
Oh, let's talk about the
I like this guy.
So as we're pouring this next rum, talk to me a little bit about.
Well, let's talk about the history of the British Navy, who
Perfect.
was the largest consumer of rum in the world.
Oh, and this
for the
this
very
leads
long
us
time.
into this next wonderful rum from Monterey, California.
That's right, and here's a guy, Brian, who's just an absolute nerd of chemistry and artistry, and he makes fantastic whiskey. He turned his attention to trying to make the rum of yesteryear, not the most clear, clean vodka-like rum, but a rum that represents what the British Navy was looking for. Now, in the old days, distillation was not as efficient. Right now, you can distill rum to be perfectly clear. In the old days, again, the method was less efficient, and you ended up with a little bit more than pure alcohol in your final version. You ended up with still a lot of congeners and esters and different flavoids in your compounds that, when they started aging in the barrels, really built up to some big fat flavor. Now,
What
as
am I
you take
getting
a
right
sip
off
of this,
the
guys,
Molasses.
I haven't tried it
I
yet.
got
No.
butterscotch.
Molasses right off the bat.
This is 68%
Yeah.
overproof rum, so do take a little sip.
Wow.
Little sip, yeah.
Hey, when he
But
talks
does it
about
open up in
esters,
your
is
mouth or what?
intense.
Do I almost get like almost a balsamic kind of
I
vinegar?
get a balsamic.
Okay, all right. I'm not
little,
crazy.
a little umami.
Umami. What you're doing is Brian is really brilliant at
Wow.
starting with.
It's
How about
unique.
really overripe banana? You get like
Okay, yeah, something like that.
like really overripe banana,
Yeah.
something that's so ripe you would put it in a banana bread.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It's amazing
like
to
a
me.
like a raisin kind of.
This
Yeah,
is such
raisin.
it's big rum, but the nose is so delicate and so beautiful. I mean,
And also, you
Wow.
might have had overproof rums before that were just flame, that were just heat, and
Yeah.
this has power to it, but it's nowhere near
does.
just flame. It's rich.
It's intense, but it's good. Smooth.
Yeah, absolutely. What you would sip that, or you wouldn't obviously mix that because it's so.
Well, you could, like
Handcrafted.
for example, if you look back at Trader Vic's original recipe for the Mai Tai, he used a really rich, robust, funky Jamaican rum, Ray and Nephew 17-year-old rum,
Yes.
which was never meant to be sophisticated, but meant to be rare and old and a vintage product from Jamaica, and so he built flavors around this rum, the orgeat, the almond syrup, the orange liqueur, the curacao, and lime. These are all strong flavors fighting together, and these three things, that between the almond, the orange, and the lime, they create a wonderful little feather bed for big fat rum to sit in. So the rum has to be up to the quality and the pungency and the flavor of these strong ingredients in balance to make a real Mai Tai. You can make a Mai Tai with some clear white rum, and that's not really what it's meant to be.
It's got to break through it.
Right. Now, two things. One, most people who order a Mai Tai, they're never getting a Mai Tai. You're getting some kind of fruit juice with a floater on the top. That's not a Mai Tai. A Mai Tai is simply orange curacao, orgeat almond syrup, and lime with good rum.
wow.
But
I know.
95% of the time, you're not really going to get a Mai Tai when you order one. So if you're going to a place that really knows how to make a Mai Tai, let's say the same thing about a daiquiri. You know, how many times have I been into a pretty good bar and said, how about a daiquiri? And they go, we don't have a blender. And I go, all right, how about you take one of those round green things, cut it in half. Oh, I could do that, yeah. Let's add a little bit of syrup there just to balance the tartness of the lime. Okay, and now bring in the rum until it starts to sing. Okay, good. Now shake that in a hand shaker until you feel the ice melting and your hand is just about stuck to the stainless steel shaker, okay?
This guy's
Now,
pro.
pour
man.
that neat.
It's awesome.
Pour that neat into a cocktail glass and give it to me, and the ice crystals are right there.
Nice.
And then you have to tell the guy you just made a daiquiri. So the handshake and daiquiri got carried away. I don't know. Maybe it was New Orleans. Maybe it was
Those
these frozen
blended,
slushy
damn
machines.
blending machines. Yeah.
You know, hey, daiquiris don't have strawberries in them, folks. Now you can do anything with anything.
I love a strawberry daiquiri.
You can make a strawberry martini,
You
for
girl.
God's sakes. It isn't really a martini, but call
Yeah.
it whatever you like.
Sure,
But
right.
remember, there's
Appletini.
some things that are never going to change, and,
Well,
and that is that lime and a little sugar and rum, and that's it. You know, get it cold and drink
great.
it.
Like that, the book that To Have and Have Another, the Hemingway daiquiris.
Phil
And,
Green is one of the
Phil
great
Green, yeah.
researchers, and also one of the founders of the Museum of the American Cocktail.
Yeah,
And what a wonderful guy!
Oh, we gotta talk to
great
that guy.
book.
He'll be there, sure.
He'll be at
Did
the
you ever have
festival?
him on the show?
No, but God, I would love
my
to.
goodness.
Like,
He's-
Gotta
I
interview
read
that
his
guy.
book.
Ed.
I read his book.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just amazing. I love it. I have it by my nightstand, and I just
Oh, it's wonderful.
so
isn't it?
Hemingway. Oh God, it's awesome. It's
No,
fantastic.
I love Phil. He's a wonderful guy, and is always doing a seminar for us, one way or the other. He's doing
These are some of the people that will be at the festival giving seminars.
Phil will be giving a seminar. I think he's doing something on drinks and the movies. I mean, similar to drinks and literature, something like that.
Yeah.
I know he does one seminar on James Bond
Wow.
and the Vesper and the martini,
oh my
shaken not
God,
stirred.
it's like
all
the
that.
coolest thing ever.
I have a quick question. What's like the 151 rum? That's just super overproofed, or that's like just
Well, there's a purpose for the overproof rum. Let's say you're making a punch, and you've got a lot of fruit juice, you've got a lot of ice,
You gotta cut
and,
through it.
and punches were often made with tea. And then you need.
I
a
know when I'm
potent
on
spirit.
vacation, I always like, throw on the topper, the
Yeah.
151. I
Yeah,
can't
why
wait
not?
till I get to the end. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a place for overproof rum.
Okay.
In the case of the one we're sipping now, anybody have any left? Yeah.
I do. This is so.
sorry.
Now, this will sometimes be a
finish off
floater
with.
on another drink. Like,
Really.
for example, if you made a really good pina colada,
Oh, you would float.
you want to float a dark rum like
yeah,
this on the top?
that would be
Oh.
delicious. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing that you can't go wrong, folks. If you want to just write one thing down, write this down. All right? You want to make some cocktails for your friends. You want to have some fun. Get some ginger beer.
Oh.
okay.
All right? Take a Collins glass, a tall glass, right? Fill it with ice. Pour it 2/3 full with ginger beer. And take your favorite rum. And I mean, this can be a really good rum. It's not sacrilegious to do this with a great rum, including this one.
Okay.
Pour it very slowly to float it over your ginger beer. Now, if you do it with Black Seal rum from Gosling's from
Yeah.
Bermuda,
Yeah.
that's a dark and stormy, a dark sky over a stormy sea. All right, when you have that dark floater. But do it with any of your favorite rums, including this. Now, here's what you do. Forget the straw and don't stir it, all right? You take your first sips. It's rum. It's all rum, right?
Right.
And as you tilt the glass back and forth a few times, you start to get some mixture. And by the time you drink this thing down a little bit, you've gone from pure rum, real satisfaction of your favorite rum, to a very refreshing, bright, wonderful mixture that just gets a little more fun the further you go down, and then do it again. There you go.
It's funny you
sounds
say that
delicious.
because I was out with the guys from Krabby's Ginger Beer today. We're introducing that into South Florida, and what an amazing product! It's an alcoholic ginger beer, 4.8% alcohol, but
Yeah.
exceptional stuff. Have you had that?
I have not yet, but you know what? I don't wait too long to try any ginger beer I find on the market. I think it's just a wonderful product. Not to mention, cola, soft drinks of all different kinds. Ginger beer is the most refreshing thing you can put in your mouth.
It's exceptional.
It's delicious.
I should have brought some tonight. I didn't.
Never had it.
But another
You
fact
guys
of
have
nature.
a ginger beer sponsor for the rum
We have
Renaissance?
Barrett's is
Okay.
always there
Yeah,
from
just wanted
Bermuda,
to mention them, yeah.
and Gosling's is there this year too. And they've got, not only do they have their ginger beer in a can, but they also have their pre-mixed dark and stormy in a can, which is
wow.
wonderful if you're going out on the boat or whatever have you.
Yeah.
Like, why fumble around with stuff? Just reach in the cooler and grab a dark and stormy in the can. It's lovely. Something so wonderful about rum and ginger.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, that's unbelievable. I guess we'll take a quick break because I just want to go into a lead here. We need to talk, throw a plug in for some of our friends up in Boca. The Boca Bacchanal, which is coming up. Jason's going to fill us
Coming
in
up
on all
on
the
the March
information.
28th, 29th, and 30th, and it's benefiting the Boca Raton Historical Society and Museum. And what else about it, Brett?
Well, it's basically a fine wine gala taking place at the Boca Raton Resort one evening. The first night is going to be many different small venues around Boca Raton that are having dinners, and the third night will take place. Jason, I wrote it down for you there. The third night,
Third night is March 30th.
and where is it taking place at?
I don't know. You didn't write it down.
Oh, I didn't write that one down. But it'll be. Oh, I'm sorry, at Meisner Park, and
Oh, it's
that'll
at
be,
Meisner Park, yeah.
Yeah, that's the third night. So, really wonderful. Definitely sponsorship to help benefit the Boca Raton Historical
The
Society.
Vinter dinners are sold out.
Are they?
Yes, they
Oh,
are.
okay. But you can get in on the rest of the fun, folks. It is a little bit high end, but if you're into fine wine, there will be some
You're
of the finest
talking about
wine.
Meisner Park.
If
you're
you're in
high-end
Boca-
anyway. Yeah, come on.
And once again, the date, Jason.
March 28th, 29th, and 30th for the grand tasting.
Yeah, so Boca Raton Resort and Meisner Park. Okay, folks, so get out there to the Boca Bacchanal. Thank you. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to continue on with Mr. Robert Burr, the Rum XP, the master, and this awesome show that we're having for you on By the Glass Show on SoFloRadio.com.
SoFloRadio.com. It makes its own gravy. Gravy. Put a team of professional consultants behind your home or business computer with Key Information Solutions, providing solutions to your internet and computing needs while keeping you on the cutting edge of technology. Preventative maintenance and networking support, hardware and custom-built computers. Let Key Information Solutions be your personal tech staff for your home or office with affordable hourly, monthly, or annual rates to fit anyone's budget. Call Key Information Solutions now, 954-9700. 954-973-3374. That's 954-973-3374. Or visit keyinformation.com.
Strawberry patches, smoothie. Come
Get your hands off me!
Huh?
I said don't touch me!
I shouldn't have went to that party last night. Now I'm seeing talking fruit.
You're not dreaming, Bubba, and you're not putting me in that blender to do.
But you're just a fruit.
Who you calling a fruit?
You are. You're a delicious passion fruit.
Why, sure, I'm passionate. How would you like to be blended, huh? I got right, you know.
Customers waiting. You gotta go.
Yeah, but wait, you can...
At Power Smoothie in Aventura, we show fruit no mercy. Always fresh, always delicious. To make the best smoothies and wraps on earth, try our new cilantro lime-alicious wrap or our hot chipotle chicken. Power Smoothie in Aventura, located just north of the Aventura Mall in the Promenade Shops. Or call 305-792-5338. Open 7 days a week.
When you're ready to actually lose weight safely and steadily while being monitored by a physician, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson is there for you. The family medicine practice was established by her father in 1956 and continues as a medical practice that now specializes in weight reduction. Dr. Kim Jacobson joined the practice 20 years ago as both a family medicine practitioner and weight loss specialist. The Weight Loss Clinic utilizes a combination of appetite suppression medication and vitamins to produce great results, usually 3 to 4 pounds per week for most patients. Now you can change your lifestyle while still enjoying your own food, just less of it. They offer a choice of 2, 3, or 4-week plans. So whether you just need to lose a few pounds or a lot, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson can help you. They're located at 5454 Northeast 4th Avenue in Miami, just 2 blocks west of 54th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. Call them at 305-751-0091. They'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. That's 305-751-0091. Get started on a beautiful new body today with Dr. Kim Jacobson and the Weight Loss Clinic.
SoFloRadio.com remains on the air with free archives thanks to the support of our listeners. Help keep us on the air by clicking the donate button on SoFloRadio.com. And thank you for your generous support.
And now we return you to By the Glass.
Hey. Welcome back to By the Glass Show. This is our Miami Rum Festival show. It takes place on April 25th to 27th down at the Doubletree by Hilton, Miami Airport Convention Center. We're very pleased to have Mr. Robert Burr in. He is the rum examiner. He is the XP master. I mean, he sat on so many different panels, and that's really amazing to me that you've built up your palate, and then you it's a article that you write in the Examiner. Talk to us about the Examiner.
I do a little thing on the Examiner, just to put news out there when I find interesting news. The Rum Examiner, I've got probably about 6,000 or 7,000 readers on there that have decided they want to stay in touch with new updates on what's happening in rum, and I love to try to get something out there early before everybody knows about it. So, look for that Rum Examiner. If you search for that, you'll find it, and sign yourself up for the email list. And you'll get it. Yeah, I probably do about 4 or 5 of them a month or something. Nothing too crazy. But I like to get the scoop on some things.
This is in between your travels and going and sitting on panels. How does that work for you? You go down and people, of course, invite you. And you were talking to us about your private collection and some of the people that come with rum. And then they're able to try their rum with many different rums and find out kind of where their rum places in that whole thing.
Yeah, we have a little sort of a secret laboratory at the house where we do have a fine selection of rums. We try to have every rum we can come across to get some. And there have been wonderful times where people have come to us with a new rum or a sample of something they're working on, and we'll try it and give some sort of evaluation. But it's also an opportunity for us to tell them, oh, yeah, I see what you're doing here. This is really interesting. Let me bring out 4 or 5 other samples of what some other people are doing, and let's try them next to yours. And there's often not that much opportunity for them to have done that somewhere. I mean, everybody who's making rum should be trying all the other rums, but there's limitations on what you can always get. and we do pretty well in terms of getting the hard to get ones. So
People that are making rum, are they coming from the islands, South America, Central America? People that you're engaging with, or there's a lot of people around here that live in South Florida that are making it? Or
the new trend is swanky suburbanite white guys like us, with a little too much cash in their pocket, thinking they should start a rum company. And the first thing you do is you have to find the source.
Right.
So, for example, Selva Ray, these kids, I say kids because they're younger than me, from Hollywood, California, they went and they searched around. They found Don Pancho down in Panama, and they worked with him for about a year to come up with the rums that they have. They have a white rum that's a 5-year-old aged filtered white rum that's just fantastic too. So, yeah, I mean, rum is fun, rum is hot, rum is really moving forward. A lot of people are saying, let's start a rum company. And then the question is, do you distill it yourself? That's kind of risky. It takes probably take you 4 or 5 or 8 years to put out something that somebody wouldn't spit out. I mean,
and you got to get the licensing, right?
Oh, all of that. Even if you get through all of that and you spend $345,000 on the still and all of that, and your first 4 batches, you've just got to toss them in the bathtub because they're chances are there's a learning curve here. Not to mention guys who are 2nd, 3rd, 4th generation who grew up in a distillery. They can run rings around you.
So does that all come in the distillation, or does that really come in the blending? I mean, you're going to get we talked about the distillation. So we've boiled it to a certain point. Now we have our second run, let's say, of our molasses, and we've taken it from 6% to up to maybe like a 20.
No, you're taking it
all the way on that.
In some cases, 100, 95%.
So that only one distillation is necessary to do that.
Well, sometimes, of course, there's a lot of games you can play here. If you use your pot still, you're going to get somewhere in the 80% average of pure alcohol, and in a big column still that's very efficient, 95-96% pure distillate, pure alcohol. And then let's talk now about aging. So now you've run this stuff through the still, and it's come out clear.
Right.
Like most distillates do. It's going to pick up most of its color then from sitting in barrels. And then the question is, are the barrels new American oak? Do you have toasted barrels, which is to say they've been fired a bit, with a torch, charred up a bit? Mm-hmm. Are they heavily charred? I mean, there's 11 different levels of charring.
Yeah.
And each one of them will produce some different textures, some different tones. You can dial up and get a toffee, dial down and get an almond note. You can dial real hard and get those bourbony notes and vanilla, Mm-hmm. So the guys who do this stuff, they have their charts. They know what they're doing. And often a great blender, the work is done in the beginning to age different kinds of wood, different charrings, different distillates, heavy, light, medium rum, to come up with all these combinations so that later, far later in many cases, you can blend these things together and have just the right amount of this or that. I mean, it's like making soup in a way, isn't it? I mean,
sure.
There's got to be just so much salt. Too much salt, no good, right? Pepper, the herbs, whatever it is that you're going for in your soup. And typically you want whatever, if it's celery soup, the celery's got to play through. You've got to say, yeah, that's celery soup.
Right.
So there's things, if you say, I'm making a gold rum, I'm making a dark, rich rum, your target has to work, and then you have nuances within the range that you're shooting for.
So you have a boutique flavor. When we talk about things like Bacardi and whatnot, I mean, they're major industrial processes, But then you have these smaller, real boutique stuff like the stuff that you're working with here, and these people. And that's really where the craft comes in the finished product.
Well, there's
right?
craft in all of it. And the question just is, are you making 20 million cases a year, 50 million cases a year, or are you making 5,000 cases a year?
Right.
So it's still all craft. But having mentioned Bacardi, let's taste another rum that I think will surprise you. Now, on the label of this rum, it says Facundo. And as we know, most of us, Facundo Bacardi was the gentleman that started the Bacardi Rum Company in 1862.
Wow.
And,
that was his first name, really? I didn't know that.
Facundo.
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 Yeah, Facundo is
Bacardi
a
Maso.
popular Cuban name.
Wow.
Not so much here anymore, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna name my kid Facundo.
Yeah. What's the short word for Facundo? What's your nickname? I don't know.
Hey, come here, you little fuck.
Doe. It's D-O. Doe.
Yeah, Doe. Right.
That's
Doe.
hilarious.
So now here, about 3 years ago, conversations came up, and we kind of challenged Facundo. Okay, there's a lot of rums running around there, and there's a lot of new rums, a lot of real delicious rums, and Bacardi rums have kind of stayed the same.
They're consistent. They're well known.
They're very consistent, and that's their key. That was the key right from the beginning. Was Facundo wanted to make consistently clear, clean rum, and he did. Now, let me tell you one trick that he had right in the beginning, and this is what made him famous. In the old days, clear white rum was unaged, aguardiente.
Okay.
Right, fire water.
Right.
If it was white in a bottle, it was unaged, and it was kind of rough and tumble stuff.
Right.
Well, he cheated in a way. Here's what he did. He aged his rum in oak barrels for about a year and a half, and then he found a very clever way to charcoal filter the color out. And he put it back in the bottle as a clear rum, and that one with the bat on it. See, you tried Uncle Joe's rum, and it, your ears were on fire. And what was it that Facundo did because his white rum was so smooth? Well, he cheated. Okay, he aged it and then filtered it, and the filtering also in the activated charcoal gave some wonderful qualities to it, took out some of the harshness, and after this, of course, the word got out. Now everybody ages their white rum a certain amount.
Wow.
And then filters it. So there's very few. Like in Colombia, you can get aguardiente.
Yeah.
In Panama, you can get seco. In Guatemala, you can get.
We don't care about Guatemala.
Yeah, well, okay.
Spain has a product called Yedbas that's really good.
Unaged.
I think so.
And then there's Pisco, which is a great
Pisco. And look at now, White Dog is back. Who
we
ever
had
heard
a
of
White
unaged
Dog
whiskey,
show.
right?
We got some in the other room.
Now, and some of it's pretty good.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good. There was the Ghost was a Jim Beam version.
Oh,
of that.
I love that one.
The Ghost.
So here we are with Mr. Bacardi, Mr. Facundo
really
Bacardi,
smooth.
the fifth generation.
Yeah.
Mr. Facundo
smells
Bacardi,
delicious.
he's the big guy in charge. He's got the most stock in the company.
But this is
And-
not Bacardi, right?
Well, you notice it says Facundo on it. So here's what we sort of challenged him: could he make great rum if he wanted to? And he got his senior master blender, Manny Oliver, and they had a powwow. And he said, "Manny, can we do this?" And Manny says, "We can do anything." He said, "Well, let's do this. Let's make some great rum." Now, I'm a member of, as you mentioned, the International Rum Expert Panel, the Rum XPs. So we had private meetings with Facundo and Manny Oliver and their team, and they fed us some blind samples along with some other rums in a blind tasting, and asked us, which ones we like best and why, and hidden in those blends, those blind samples were some of their blends that they were testing. So some of them scored very well, and then we came back again a year later, and did some more blind testings with this one or that one. Now they were getting more specific. They were looking to us to give them some feedback, like a focus group, and so we did. And Manny Oliver's such a nice guy. He was just, thank you so much for your feedback. We're like, no, thank you for letting us try the secret rum. So it was a love fest. And then finally about this time last year, Facundo took us all to the Bath Club for a secret dinner, and revealed the rums to us.
That's amazing.
And he said, we've never done this before using outside people, and we've never made exquisite rums like this. And frankly, I think the accountants are probably all over him for this, because these rums cost a lot to make, and they're only available in a few stores in Miami and a few stores in New York. These are hard to find.
We're very privileged to try it. It's absolutely.
They are not going to make a lot of money
on the bottle too.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
But now,
everything about it is class.
as we go taste this thing, this is some of the family reserves. This is a 10 to 23-year-old blend.
Absolutely delicious.
This is called Exquisito, and of course, you don't have to speak Spanish to know that means exquisite.
And it is.
And isn't it a wonderful blend?
This is the first rum we've tasted tonight that tastes like rum.
Yeah, it's perfectly smooth,
Yeah.
balanced, a little bit of spice. Is it a spice rum? I guess.
No,
you'd say?
no, but you know what? It's not sweet and it's not real dry.
Yeah, it's got a
And
little
once again,
flavor, right?
they're going for balance.
It's beautiful.
It's like
A long
warm
finish.
melted butter. When it
Yeah, it
hits
is.
your
It's
tongue.
very buttery.
It is. It's amazing.
This is as smooth as it gets.
Yeah.
I think so, right?
Well, Robert, unfortunately, it's only an hour show, so I just want to use this time to let you throw out anything you want. Your PR guy, we're promoting your festival here, which is really, a gift to the people of South Florida to have this amazing festival and event in their backyard. Anybody who doesn't go to this is an absolute, madman. So you got to check this out. I mean, such an opportunity. Is there anything specific, a website, anything you wanted to promote it? Please, now's the time.
I think I'll chime in. I mean, I think what's a build this year compared to last year is now we're up to 80 rum producers, 80 rum brands showcasing more than 200 rums. For the price of a $50 ticket, you can come down for the day and sample each of those rums.
Where's the best place to buy that ticket?
The best place to purchase your tickets is on rumrenaissance.com, and you can click on the ticket link on the left-hand side.
And that'll give you all information on the event.
That'll give you the location, the dates. There is a $150 VIP pass you could purchase for the whole weekend if you'd like to make it down and really make your way through the show. But I think Rob could add any other the sights and sounds that you might have down there this week.
Well, we want to make this fun. We want it to be informative. Rum is fun. Some people, once in a while you see someone coming down by themselves, but this is the sort of thing that you tell your friends, you drag them with you, you throw them in the car, you go, look, this is so much fun. You're going to love this. Let's go discover some rum together. And people get very excited at the show. They want to bring their friends over and make them try this one that they just discovered. It's great.
You haven't met my friends. They're all alcoholics. I don't have to drag anybody.
Well, my wife and I went, and we had a great time. We were dragging each other all over the place, saying, you got to try this, you got to try this. And we were having a great time. It was absolutely phenomenal. Folks, I just want to say, as we try all these wonderful rums, please do so responsibly. If you're going to drink at home, don't drink and drive. Do not overconsume. Rum's a wonderful thing, but sit home and do it in the privacy of your own home. Don't go out and get all crazy on us now. Definitely be responsible when drinking all products, okay? And from that, we're going to go, when you're listening to
robsrum.com.
There you go. When you're listening to Bob By the Glass Show, when you're done with that.com, you go to Rob's Rum, you go to the Rum Examiner, and then go to the Miami Rum, the rumrenaissance.com, and you're going to get all this great information that's going to lead you into this wonderful world, and I guarantee you that this is going to be the event of the year if you're even remotely interested in wonderful fine beverage. If you've been to a beer festival and you've been to a wine festival, this is not like that. This is the next level. This is unbelievable. Really enhancement, very high end, just a great time, and we're definitely telling you to
You'll
get
be
down
educated
there.
as well.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of good stuff.
Lots
the
of
education is worth it.
going on.
Sure, you'll find out what you like. It's this stuff.
You got seminars, rum competitions, special tastings. There's an island showcase if you're into the island lifestyle and
I love
tiki. I think there's a lot of great entertainment.
Yeah, we bring over these crazy tiki guys from England who, are really rip it up with their tiki cocktails. The Bacardi UK Tiki team will be there to thrill and amaze everybody.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah. That's another thing, too, the mixology aspect of it. I mean, rum as a sipper is great, but then what you can do with it above and beyond is also a really amazing thing.
Mention this last
1 minute mojito.
We don't have time to really taste it, but with the Real McCoy...
12 years old. I tasted it before.
Fantastic rums. These are Real McCoy. You'll see 3 of these at the show. And, of course, Bill McCoy was the great rum runner of Prohibition time who never broke the law. He stayed offshore with a boatload of rum, and little boats came to him. And that's where we all know the phrase Real McCoy. He never sold diluted booze. It was always the real thing.
It was literally a boatload of rum.
Real McCoy. That's where that came from, right?
That's where it comes from.
Guys, I want to thank Ed Roberts for putting everything together, the wonderful, the amazing Ed Roberts. Thank you so much for all you do behind the scenes, for putting together a wonderful show. And we still got a few minutes, but, I just really want to thank you, Robert, for coming down here. I know you're extremely busy with everything going on. It's been one of the best shows I can remember. Unbelievable because, I could sit there and listen to you talk about rum all day. And, folks, I mean, I don't know. You should get a podcast, man, because you are you're rocking and rolling there.
Yeah, the stories you told on this show
are great.
Enlightening.
We've got to have you back. How about you come back after the rum festival? And
whenever you get a free chance, please,
Well, now I know where you guys hang out.
You're always welcome. I mean, definitely. We're
this block.
We're here every Thursday.
Let me ask you one question.
A few years
though.
to go through all these rums.
The only place I know this might kind of be cheesy, but whatever. The only place I know that makes all different rum drinks is in Fort Lauderdale.
The Mai Kai.
Yeah. Is there somewhere else? I mean, is that like the place you would tell people to go, or is there somewhere else?
Yeah, the Mai Kai, because you get the Polynesian show with
and
the fire dancers. It's ridiculous.
It
it's
gets
amazing.
your seal of endorsement.
Absolutely. And then in
I
Coral
you
Gables,
might have an office there,
my neighborhood in Coral Gables, you have Ortanique, a fabulous upscale Caribbean restaurant with a really fantastic rum collection. Ortanique, $285 Miracle Mile, I think it is.
I believe you guys want to go to where Rob goes and hangs out and checks out Rob.
And then there are just the fantastic cocktail bars on Miami Beach and all around. Gramps and Wynwood is a fantastic place to get cocktails. You've got the Regent Cocktail Club, and you've got the Broken Shaker.
Everybody, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for everybody. Go down to Rum Renaissance. Have a wonderful night. Thanks, Robert Burr.
You're listening to SoFloRadio.com.